Ciao Ciao,
Boom.
everybody. There it is.
Which Chow Chow are we on now?
Bang.
The horror Chow Chow. That's right.
Horror Ciao Ciao, episode number 2, where we are going to talk about the church
La
or
Chiesa.
La Chiesa. And this is like, I can't remember the last time it was just you and me doing something.
It was before episode 10 of Giallo Chow Chow, I believe.
Wow. That was years ago.
It actually was, I think.
It was.
Yeah. So it's
That
going to be
is
pretty low key here
fantastic.
tonight. Yeah.
Is it going to be low key or is it going to be higher key
Well,
or anarchy?
we're just going to fit that keyhole with our
Yeah.
keys, turn it, and
Turn
unlock a
it.
door to some horror.
Boom. Yes. So yeah, what's been going on in your life,
I was
sir?
worried you're going to ask because I don't have any theatrical experiences to talk about. There aren't any showings here in town of any great Italian horror movies or giallo movies, which I don't know why that happens so often where Chris is from, but I just never get those here in Minneapolis. And we've got a lot of cool theaters here, but they don't get into the Italian stuff really until about Halloween when they play there's one that plays a couple Mario Bava movies, and that's about it. So yeah, not a whole lot.
I
Keeping
don't
it low
get
key.
movies like that over here either.
Really?
I'm sure they do stuff in LA,
Yeah.
but like usually when I would hear about it, it would already be over
Yep. That's it
because
too. Yeah.
there's like so many little like groups that do stuff, and
Yeah.
I try not to fucking pay attention to anything. And
It's hard.
yeah, but I heard you got Raw coming to you.
Yeah, for our wrestling fans out there in the crowd, I know there are many. And I had to put up with a barrage of creeps, ways he would have made SummerSlam better.
Oh, I was so pissed.
But yeah, hopefully by the time Raw gets here, things will have calmed down a little bit and we'll just have a good old time.
Can I just say that the fact that they put that belt on Finn Balor just because he was going to go out with an injury, just so when he comes back, they could say, he was the first ever Universal Champ. That is the biggest, stupidest, fucking horrible, goddamn fucking thing ever. I'm done.
Okay.
That's all I'll say about it.
I thought you and Zoe would be more upset about Dolph Ziggler losing both chances at the title.
Well, I am, but I don't know what his deal with the company is, because he might be very happy playing Colonel Sanders.
That's kind of my deal with the Ciao Ciao network right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of just up in the air. Episode by episode basis. You don't really have me tied down to a contract yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so until you
Still
get hurt,
negotiating
I'm not gonna give you any kind of championships.
I might show up on another network with it.
Oh, snap. That takes us back.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, for those of you who are wanting to hear more about Italian cinema than shit American wrestling, we will give that to you now. For those of you who are watching, if you can do the Q&A thing, just drop me a hello just so I know it's working, because it hasn't worked the last couple weeks. But if I see nothing, I will assume that it's still not working. So, with that being said, Eric picked the movie that we are watching tonight, that we already watched tonight. Mm-hmm. And it is called El Chorche. What is it called?
Well, you're close. It's called La Chiesa, or the Church.
La Chiesa.
Yeah, from 1989. We're getting close to the 90s. We're kind of in La Profumo territory.
Uh-oh.
El Profumo? I
think it was just Profumo.
Yeah. Okay.
meaning smelly movie.
Yeah.
All right.
And as you all can recall, that's ultimately what drove me off the show the first time. Just that wretched stench. But we're back in the more welcoming wretched stenches of an old-timey church, old Gothic cathedral. And yeah, it's only fitting that we're actually doing the show a little bit later because that makes it a little creepier and gloomier.
A little scarier.
Sitting in the dark. All right,
Yeah.
so let me just take a swig for the working man to get myself ready.
I need some squirt.
All right, so as mentioned, this movie's from 1989. It's got a couple different titles. La Chiesa, as we mentioned, Cathedral of Demons and Demon Cathedral, which we'll maybe talk about in a little bit as to why demon is so prominent in those names. But directed by Michele Soavi. Soavi?
How do you
I
say
want to
his
say
name?
Soavi.
Is it Michelle or Michele?
It could be Michelle. I can never quite tell. I don't want to offend someone by giving them a kind of a girly name.
Ciao Ciao, Brian. Thank you for letting us know that that is working.
Brian's up late with us tonight. Hey, Brian. But anyway, yeah, he did work with Dario Argento on this film. He was kind of a protege of Argento for a couple of movies in the early 80s and was promoted actually to the director of this film, I believe, after Lamberto Bava did not impress Argento with his script. So it's a little bit
Shockingly.
of backstage drama for you.
Which I want to talk more about later.
Yep. Just a couple more things before we get into the plot synopsis. So this movie just all kinds of got all kinds of Argento's handprints, paw prints all over it. The different writers, Dardano Sacchetti and Franco Ferrini, just a lot of different people adding to the script that have worked with Argento for many years. It's kind of like his little mafia following him around. A lot of similar actors. Of course, his daughter in one of her earliest roles, Ozia. And then a couple of American actors, Hugh Corsi and Tomas Arana. And then a Italian scream queen favorite, Barbara Copisti, as Lisa. And she was actually, I believe, seeing Michele Soavi at the time that this movie was being filmed. So just a lot of what's that term? A lot of incestual relationships going on here.
Yes.
Mixing around.
And some nepotism.
Nepotism, maybe that's a better word.
Well, it actually isn't because it's a movie that they're putting together. So
yeah, that's true. Just lots of people see, they're either related or they're dating or stuff like that, giving each other some jobs here on the movie. Ahead, in front of the screen and behind the screen.
Yeah.
To start out, I mean, you could tell that this movie's got all kinds of people writing for it because it starts out with these crusaders many centuries ago, these dirty faces going around killing off this village of the damned and building a Gothic cathedral over these dead corpses of all these people that they've murdered. We've got decapitations and burnings, possible rapes, I'm guessing, plundering.
Why not?
Just spilling food over. I mean, that's just kind of adding insult to injury right there.
Baby killings.
Yeah. So just this poor village that this one knight believes to be just, I guess, possessed by devils and demons, and it's I like the beginning of this because of the guy takes off his helmet and he's got the cross, the dirty cross, still etched into his face. So
Yeah.
little nuggets of imagery like that are kind of fun.
I actually, we'll get to it in a little bit, but when I actually found the right movie, I was really like bummed. I'm like, fucking horses and knights, are you fucking kidding me? And I was really like not happy, but then that part of the movie was actually fairly good.
Yeah. You thought you were into a period piece?
Yeah, I thought I was like definitely into 2 hours of Camelot or something, and I was like,
No,
fuck me.
I wouldn't do that to you. Yeah, watching this, I watched this maybe 5 or 6 years ago for the first time, and so I actually forgot about this beginning. But it sets it up pretty nicely because now we're here in present day, well, 1989, I guess. So present day minus a couple decades. But now the modern day cathedral is set up, but it's under reconstruction. So that's never good when you're digging up things in churches and uncovering things and scratching away at frescoes. You'll find all kinds of strange little things.
Horrible things.
Terrible, terrible. Yes, creepy. I would like to go to an old Gothic cathedral though in Europe somewhere. I think that would be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
I mean, this guy's still preaching about demons and temptations. It's just
that's
pretty
hardcore.
heavy-handed.
It'll be all in Latin, so we won't even know what the fuck they're saying. They could be saying, next time you go to McDonald's, get a number 5 with honey mustard, and we'll think it's like biblical. Anyway, the one thing I do want to say though is that back in that opening bit, the wicker plate mask,
oh yeah,
that she was wearing, that was really fucking cool. Like I was like thinking that was going to be something really fucked up, and it wasn't. But that was just like, that was a neat fucking mask.
Yeah, I think that if you were to see it in a horror movie today with like maybe being like a dream sequence or something,
that was awesome.
It's pretty unsettling, yeah. Even though it's just like a little wicker mask, which you'd think that'd be pretty difficult to see through. They probably got little tiny.
Yeah, it looked very
slits.
hard to see through.
Yeah.
But it looked like one of those plate things that you put a paper plate in when you're having like a picnic at your grandma's house.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm just going with it.
Okay.
I don't know what you do in your grandma's house.
All right. Okay. Then just continue, man. Continue. I'm sorry.
We'll have to have you draw a picture later.
It looks like her face, that mask. And then you just like take it like this and put it out flat. And then you put a paper plate in it. They have them at like the 99-cent store too.
Okay.
And that way, like your paper plate doesn't like fall in half when you're putting a bunch of macaroni salad on it.
Okay.
And dogs.
I'll have to check out. I was going to go to the 99-cent store tomorrow, so maybe I'll check it out when I'm there.
Just see if they have them.
Okay.
All right.
If I do, then I'll be the first one to admit my foolishness.
I want you to put it up to your face and take a picture.
I will.
Awesome. Okay. I'm sorry. Continue, sir.
Okay. So, yeah, we're in the present day. Asia Argento's character Lotte is putting on makeup in church, kind of highlighting what kind of she's like a preteen, tween age in this movie. So she's kind of, her dad is a sacrosanct or something. I can't remember what they said. That sounds like a bad thing.
Yeah, I think he's just the guy that collects money for the church or something.
Okay.
That was the only thing I ever saw him actually do.
Right. So yeah, she's sick of growing up in the church. She kind of wants to break out. She's apparently found this secret exit somewhere in the church, and we'll see that throughout the film. She'll kind of sneak out through the basement of the church, and she really knows the way out of there, which kind of plays into it as we move along. But first, we have to meet all these different characters. This guy named Evan, of all things, shows up. He's the new the new librarian, and right away he wants to bone the restoration expert, Lisa. So, little sexual tension going on between these characters. It's kind of hard to determine who the main character is going to be, though, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, or just
well, when it started, I thought it was them two. I thought they were the main characters.
Exactly.
Because you spend the first 20 minutes after that opening bit with them. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like this is the hero and the heroine.
Right. and then there you see this romance maybe starting to bud a little bit. And then as they're kind of digging around in this church, he finds this parchment because he's working in the library, and he just suddenly becomes all obsessed with it. And he can't read it. He doesn't know what it says, but he knows that it's got a symbol of the Teutonic Knights on it, which apparently were Hitler's favorite knights.
That's what he said.
He liked the Iron Cross. So yeah, the Teutonic Knights, historically, I know they've been in like the Da Vinci Code and those types of books as like the military for the church back during the Crusades. So they just were pretty terrible people working in the name of God, which is kind of interesting. But so yeah, this leads to some kind of funny scenes when he's making out with Lisa. But then all of a sudden he just starts thinking about his parchment again.
That was ridiculous. He saw the fucking tape measure in the reflection of the cup and said, "Oh my God, this means I could read what that shit says because apparently it's backwards." And I
backwards the whole time.
Yeah, that was so fucking stupid. But I was like, okay, I'll give it to him.
Yeah,
but
he only focused or was able to sense this just as he was pre-gaming with this girl.
Pre-gaming.
they were in the
they were in the dry territory. Yeah. The dry Wednesday.
Shirts were off, but pants were still on.
Yeah.
So some over the jean action. OTJ, as the kids call it. If your kids ever come home and they say OTJ,
I punch them in the face, man.
Yeah. You know what's going on.
My daughter's going to her first dance on Friday, and I'm ready to crack fucking skulls.
Watch out for that. Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
All right. So, yeah, we're just finding all sorts of things out about this old church. The ground is hollow. As they were jackhammering into it, and they find out that there's some empty space beneath it. And Evan, this whole time, he's working in the church as a librarian, but he's thinking about becoming a god himself, or he thinks that this parchment's going to give him the power to become a god because he'll find some kind of buried treasure. And it's kind of funny, she calls him out as being like an Indiana Jones type guy, which is a pretty poor excuse for one. It's just, yeah. I don't know about this guy, Evan.
Yeah. He's a few fries short of a Happy Meal there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's probably the one that should listen to the sermon about which McDonald's meal to get.
Oh, wow. I'm fast fooding it twice. Good Lord. You'd think I'm hungry, and I'm not. So when this point comes up in the movie, like, there's like no dialogue for like a half hour, it feels like. Mm-hmm. And it was really weird. Like, I wasn't having a hard time following it, but it was weird. I don't know if it was just, but yeah. So
and this movie's kind of long, but it's not like a badly paced, like you're saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to like write down a progression of what's going on because it's just kind of like little things here and there.
Yeah. Well, it was like weird too because like so much time had gone by that it was quiet that when the first like big jump scare happened, I was like so unprepared that it almost didn't work.
Oh, really?
Because I was so like, I wasn't like, it wasn't like I was out of the film, but it was just like so much time had gone by where nothing was happening or said that when it first happened, when he opens that bag and the hands come up and grab him and shit.
Okay.
I was like, I saw it and then I was like, oh, but it was like, it was totally delayed. It was like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
I was wondering what the jump scare you were talking about was, but yeah, that is quite a ways further. Cause I mean, all we're getting up until then is, he's being haunted by like horse noises, which I guess is supposed to be like the knights. And then there's like a little section in the middle where we're kind of getting to know a little bit more about this Father Gus guy, who's the one black guy in the whole movie, but he works at an old church. He doesn't know Latin, but he likes archery. So it's like we're trying to figure out who is this guy all about? Like, what's his deal? He's a younger guy, good looking, hanging out with these old men, that have been at the church probably for 100 years.
And he had like a flash of the knights coming, right? When he was practicing his archery.
Yeah, I think he saw a vision or something. So
Yeah.
something's opened up this this imagery or these noises. I'm getting like this vibe from Father Gus, like the not Father Marin in The Exorcist, but the other one, can't think of his name, like the younger one, the priest.
Yeah.
Like,
Rocky Balboa.
Yeah. You're learning about him bit by bit through like this slow exposition. Kind of, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but it doesn't really go anywhere, unfortunately, in his case.
Yeah.
He's just another one of these guys where I think one writer wanted him to be the protagonist, but he didn't really get his way in the end. He was kind of written out of the story. Because, then we go back to Evan, who's nosing around the cathedral, way down below where only Lotte seems to know her little secret exit. And he finally finds his stone with 7 eyes, which was the message that was written backwards on his parchment. Find this stone with 7 eyes, and he apparently does some kind of weird secret voodoo black magic, and it opens up this cross in the floor. And this is kind of like a dreamy sequence where you got this Argento-ish blue light shining through and smoke machines. And that's when the hands come out of the bag that he pulls out of there. And that's, up until then, it's just very slow moving. It is very like a dreamscape almost.
I think you're right about having all those different writers, because it seems like they're trying to do little tiny backstory elements with like 6 different fucking people. Like, but it's so small and short that you don't even really get to know who those people are at all anyway, because it takes you half the scene to figure out who the fuck they're talking about or who the person even is. And then once you do, the scene's over. So I think having that many writers does do that too.
Yeah, I think I counted, depending on the source you look at, there's anywhere from 5 to 7 different writers on this movie.
Good fucking God, dude.
Can you imagine that room?
Jesus fucking Christ. Well, I'm assuming like somebody wrote it, and then they're like, oh, well, let me try to fix this. Oh, I think we need a black guy. Okay, well, let me try to fucking work on this. Hey, we need we need a motorcycle gang couple like in the church. So anyway, I have jumped ahead a couple of times, but the effect of the cross in the floor was probably my favorite like visual in the whole fucking movie. That was really cool.
That's kind of where Rico Suave, this director, gets to shine for the first time. Everything that leading up to it's kind of like you could see his touches of Argento and stuff and what he's learned under his tutelage, but now he gets to kind of do his own things with the camera, and I think he does a really good job. And the next scene that I really liked, as far as direction, and maybe this is kind of just a little bit weird or stupid for some people, but for some reason I always loved when Evan, who's now quasi possessed since opening up that hole in the ground, you can't really tell, he's kind of teetering on the edge. He's going to find Lisa, and he's driving through the city, and they're playing that real creepy synthy. Apparently, the score has Goblin attached, but it's also got Keith Emerson as a composer, along with Philip Glass.
Good God!
So that's just a crazy trio of musicians coming up with the score for this movie, which is actually one of the reasons this movie has stood out for me for so long, is that one musical thread that's throughout the whole film. It's just something I really, really enjoy. So especially
it's playing underneath us right now.
Exactly. Probably over and over again, because I think that's like the only. There's a couple other songs in the movie, but I think that's the main one. and it just really amplifies, I think, or picks up the scenes whenever it's in it, especially in this one. Sometimes it feels out of place, but this one when he's cruising through the city, they sped up the camera obviously, but I really like that driving scene, and it gets us out of that dingy old church for a while.
Yeah. And is this where he goes to the phone booth
Yep.
and then fucking rips his heart out of his chest?
Yeah, he's
That was
struggling to
fucking.
speak.
It was very Videodrome. Like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that was kind of queasy for me. I
There's-
was I was popping some Mike and Ikes at the time, and then
Oh, no.
didn't want to eat anymore.
Why'd you keep them down? So you weren't popping a number 5? Fries?
No. I was Mike and Ike in it. And then I saw a jello-y looking heart beating out of some dude's chest. And I said, I think I'm going to put these down. And then my daughter took them. So
So she
got,
scored.
I got fucked out of my Mike and Ike's. But so thank you, Rico Suave.
Yeah. And, that's the end of Evan. So he's not our lead character anymore. Poor Evan trying to just talk on the phone and can't even get any words out. This isn't the fun kind of demon possession. This is like it's going to rip your heart out of your chest, physical torture.
Yeah.
So it's very Italian, I feel like.
And then it is weird because every time, and it happens a few different times in the movie where someone, like, you see something happen to them and obviously they're dead, but then they come back a couple scenes later and they're still possessed, but everything's fine.
Yeah.
And
intact.
So from that point, this is where the girl thinks the goat's outside her window, right?
Yeah.
And she fucking dives through a plate glass fucking window that did not look like fake window because she jumped through it and it made like a fucking hole. It was like a fucking like hole. I don't know. Like like normally when someone jumps through a window, like the whole thing shatters, and this thing was just like, and I was like, fucking hell. And then she like gets up and bites some cop, and there's not a fucking scratch on her. And I was just like, what? A gory ass movie. Some chick jumps through a fucking window and she's like flawless. Yeah. But so that was pretty cool.
At least throw some Caro syrup on her or something.
Yeah.
Red colored syrup.
Yeah, demons all over the place, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We did say demons a couple times, and
we're gonna say a couple more. Yeah.
But yeah, now we get to the point where you were alluding to when for some reason we've got all these different groups in the church now. So I guess mass is over and now the field trips are coming in, and those weird biker couple, which for some reason wandered in there. A couple other different people.
The old groovy lady.
The old groovy lady. Yeah, the old couple. She probably wants to get with that old preacher.
Yeah. So
he's quite the catch.
That whole thing was bizarre, and if we don't talk about the teacher's hat, we would be doing a disservice to our viewers. But she went to like the shit hat store and said, I need something to match this blazer, and they gave her this shit fucking hat. I don't know how to describe it other than shit. It was just shit.
My fashion tuning wasn't in on this movie because it's 1989. We're far removed from the stylish 70s giallo movies.
Yeah.
So I missed the hat, I think, but I think if I close my eyes and I think about it, I could probably remember.
It's a gray hat with like a little black band, but it's like all the way around, but it's only like this deep.
Okay.
So it's like it looks like a top hat that someone sat on.
Okay.
Or something. I don't know.
Like a classic Chaplin movie where he kind of sits on his hat.
Yeah, something like that. But it was just like flat and wide, and I was just like, fucking hell, dude, I can't like concentrate on anything in this movie other than that chick's ugly ass fucking hat. But there were some kind of fashion-y things, like Dario's daughter was dressing kind of skanky, which was weird.
Yeah. That little black number.
Yeah, and then like that whole bit where she was in the library with Evan when he had completely gone ballistic psycho and he just kept looking up her fucking skirt.
Uh-huh.
Like that was just like that was probably the most like unnerving part of the whole movie.
Yeah. That's where you could, yeah, definitely. That whole sequence was like, you could throw all the weird heart explosions you want in the movie or face smashes, but that whole thing was just really, yeah, it was difficult to sit through. And I remember that now. And I did, for some reason, I didn't write it down, but maybe it's because I was just so squeamish.
Well, it's the whole thing like that happens and he wants to cut her stomach up
Oh,
and
yeah.
she runs away and then goes to her dad, but her dad's already fucked up. The
Yeah.
Solosinger, what's his name? What's he
Oh,
do?
I can't
The
remember.
Schlocken, the guy who
The
gets the
Schlonger?
money, or yeah, the
Yeah.
Schlonger. And immediately he's like, "How dare you come here?" And then he was
Hmm.
like gonna kill her, so she's like, "Fuck this, I'm gonna go clubbing," and she fucking takes off. So there's all those people in the church, and then the dad goes into the confession booth. Oh wait, did we even want to talk about when she looked in the mirror and he was like some weird bird guy?
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. That is
Yeah,
something
yeah.
because, yeah, she went back to dad, and this is where we find out he wasn't in good shape. I guess, yeah, I forgot he was attacked by Evan down in the basement. So he got his own,
Yeah, I forgot that too.
his, the demons found their way inside of him as well. And he, I guess, wants to wash her mouth out with some weird blue soap.
Oh, so gross.
You could almost taste that soap just watching it getting rubbed into her mouth. And that,
And then
yeah,
it's
that
funny,
old,
she gets it on that chick's wedding dress for the
uh-huh.
photo shoot, and they act like they don't even care. It's like, weird little girl. What's her problem? Let's go
Yeah.
steal a shot in the church.
I forgot about that group too, as part of the people that are doing a wedding photo shoot or something. And yeah, for as uptight as she was about her dress and getting the pictures right, getting that blue soap on there didn't affect her. But yeah, then she she looks up in the mirror and sees, this is the first kind of, because we'll see it later, but this is the first time we see that the demons are reflected in the mirrors. So even though you don't see them in front of your eyes, if you look in the mirror, for some reason you see their true form or something. I'm guessing is what they're getting at.
Oh, that makes way more sense than what I thought. I just thought she was like,
Just like, fuck it, throw a bird in there.
I don't know. I just thought she like saw,
Oh,
like, I
she's
don't know.
tripping on something.
Yeah, well,
From the
everyone seemed
club.
like they were tripping on something.
Yeah.
But no, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense.
But that
Okay,
dad
that
and that,
works.
her parents had that, they had a very comical relationship. Or there was at least one comical scene when he was, I think maybe back when he was not possessed, but he was still kind of punishing her for being out and, running around town like a hoochie
Hoochie
mama.
Mama. Yep.
And he starts just, being the dad and shouting at her, maybe being a little bit aggressive with her, but then the mom just says, "Come to bed," or something like
Yeah.
that. And
Come back to bed.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's just funny because like he's like, you've been smoking and you've been drinking.
Yeah.
I locked all the doors. And how old was she? Like, was she supposed to be like 13 or something like that?
Yeah, that's what my guess was.
Oh my god, dude, that's crazy.
I can just see you staring off into the distance.
13-year-old girls acting like lunatics, dude. That's not
Uh-huh.
cool.
No.
All right. Okay. So all these motherfuckers are in the church.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
just
what
a recipe for
happens?
disaster.
Yeah, you know from the get-go that this is going to be bad.
Yeah. And we get a little bit of a classic field trip exposition somewhere around here where they, give you a little hint as to what's to come because someone says something, or one of the kids or the teacher says something about how there's like this one pressure point or this little point in these old churches, and anytime someone touches it, the whole thing crumbles to the ground. So it's just a little bit of a overt foreshadowing for you, just right in
Yeah.
your face.
And it's funny because all of the foreshadowing comes from this one little kid who
Mm-hmm.
like knows fucking everything. Like,
He's
hey,
read the
teacher with
Wikipedia.
this, yeah, like teacher with the stupid hat. Did you know that if someone touches something, the whole thing will fall down? I was like, oh, that's good to know.
Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But first, before we get to that, we do find another part of the church has this weird Teutonic Rube Goldberg machine, which is only activated apparently by possessed dad jackhammering himself to death. Which I was trying to follow along with what was happening there, why he did. I guess, yeah, at some point these possessed people are just driven to violence upon themselves.
And so since he ran by everybody and he touched people,
Uh-huh.
is it like a germ thing? So they get, or
Yeah,
do they have to cut them?
this is where I think the lineage from the demons and demons 2 come in, where, and it's very loose connection, but yeah, because in those I think they have to actually have some kind of open wound that's infected or something, like an analogy to sexually transmitted diseases. Obviously, is what those movies were, but this one, yeah, he just kind of brushes by them, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, I feel kind of weird. Like my face is kind of tingly." So
That's funny.
shit's about to go down, and especially once he activates this machine and it locks the one entrance and exit to the entire church. Though we know there might be another one, but no one else seems to realize this. And depending on who you are, you're going to get a little uptight about this. You know, maybe a little claustrophobic. You know, teacher with the ugly hat demands answers.
And then that fucking the chick in the wedding dress got stuck in the door with her giant wedding dress. That was stressing me out. That was like the one thing in the movie that was like making me like not hyperventilate, but I was like fucking like, Jesus fucking Christ, just cut her out of the fucking dress. Why is this taking so long?
And they went out of the way to talk about how they weren't going to cut it because it was such a beautiful dress.
And then 5 minutes later, they're like, "Oh shit, we might as well just."
You could tell those little boys in the field trip wanted to
see what was going to happen.
Scissors. But yeah, they let her up. They hung her up to dry for a couple minutes, unfortunately, and yeah, it was a little bit of a claustrophobic feeling to watch her in that scene, even though it was kind of like, I don't know if that was like their little touch of comedy halfway through.
Yeah, it was, especially with the guy with the jackhammer and the teacher losing her glasses and that whole thing when he comes back. Because when he came back, I was like, what the fuck is he doing there? Like, he just jackhammered his guts out. How is he fucking doing anything? So it made me think, like, was a lot of the stuff happening just like because remember when that one dude thought the fish jumped up on his face and then the priest saw him and there was no fish there? So that obviously was like a part of his imagination, but the priest also saw that dude with the jackhammer go through him and he saw the jackhammer. So I don't know how that guy got back up. I guess it doesn't matter at this point. At this point, shit's fucked up.
Yeah,
so
they just wanted to throw a bunch of gory scenes at you, including like the biker couple trying to find their own way out, and apparently they locate an area where that's open in the ground, but it leads right to the subway or right above where the train's coming through. So you get a nice little splatter gore scene there, like a HG.
Sure. It looked like weird sand. Like her face just like smashed. But then that other part before that too, when he was looking for her and she was naked and had the snake on her and there was some giant like demon with wings like cuddling her and all this shit, like there was just a lot of things like that. And then the little kid who's like, if you're my friend, when I look at you, you'll have the same face as me. And all that stuff. And it was just like, at that point, I was just going, what the fuck is going on? And then on top of that, if you want to fucking tell me that old couple walked all the way to the top of that fucking church, I call bullshit. Like that would never have happened. But that was hysterical because she ripped his head off and was ringing the bell with his head. So that was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, there were a lot of weird stretches where they were kind of stretching just to get to a certain piece of imagery that they wanted, or some kind of weird just thing to throw at you out of random space. It felt like some of it did work, like the demon with the wings. I really kind of got into that.
Yeah, that looked fucking amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, the kids stuff, I don't know. Them all trying to find ways to entertain themselves while they're being quarantined. The old priest tells Father Gus that they're not really locking themselves in as much as they're, well, I guess they're not locking other people out, but as they're locking the possession in.
Yeah.
Because once it gets outside the walls of the church, society is going to go bye-bye. So it's kind of got this whole apocalyptic feel going on to it now. Just they've really amped it up, which I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
I like this end of the world scenarios playing
That
out.
whole scene with him and the old creepy priest and the page and all that shit and the priest's demise kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was really heavy. But the one thing is that the priest, the black priest, Gus, kept saying, in the name of God, da 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 da, like over and over again. Like whenever something was weird, he was like, in the name of God.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, for fuck's sake, dude. Like, I know you know more words than that.
Well,
But
then like the old priest called him
yeah,
out.
the old priest is like, in the name of Satan, more like it, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I think you took that right from the script. And then he plummeted himself upon an iron bar or iron stake, kind of calling back to the omen. It's a lot of cool callbacks
Yeah.
in these demonic movies. But yeah, kind of getting out of this scene, and then it kind of, I mean, it's hard to go into the ending of this film because it keeps spiraling into this weird stuff. We've got now we're going back to Rosemary's Baby, where Lisa is undressed and a goat demon is fucking her.
Yeah. It was a nice looking goat, but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know how did she get there. I was
She
finding that
walked.
hard to follow. She just kind of walked back to the
Yeah.
church.
Because, well, she was in the church when the shit went down. And
Uh-huh.
then she just, like, I guess she had been touched enough to where, because remember, he was kissing her. I don't know if that got his heebie jeebies in her or
Right.
something. But she's just like, I feel like I'm going to go downstairs and take my clothes off and get fucked by a goat.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
like you would, you know?
Yeah, because her possession was a little more, I guess, not as in your face as the other ones. It was a little more subtle.
Yeah.
And then until she allowed the demon to penetrate her. But old Gus, he's still trying to find this secret. Well, he does pretty much know the secret that that little button that the kid was talking about, and that the old priest later tells him about, is actually the piece of paper inside of the architect's mouth. So this goes back to the beginning where they had this architect who was actually part of the village, but they used him to build the church because he was the only one that knew the alchemy and the secrets behind everything, and was able to build this kill switch that would have toppled the church in case these demons were to get freed once again. And then they buried the secret in his mouth. And I thought after all of this, foreshadowing and building up, like the guy's little statue is right out there in the open, which you could say, well, that's kind of a stupid plot hole or like a stupid thing that they just let it there. But it's also kind of cool where you're like, the secret was in front of everyone the whole time and they just realized it now. So he yanks the piece of paper out and you get kind of a cool gear. Well, first of all, you see the old mummified remains kind of all in a
Yeah.
pile. And then the gears start moving and things start toppling. Poor Gus kind of gets a sad demise. I don't know, was it before this when we got that weird monument of naked writhing corpses
Yeah, they
that
were
are rising
right.
out of the ground?
Yeah, and instead of like doing what he should be doing, he's like looking at it in disgust for like a
Uh-huh.
very long time.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And
coming up really slowly.
yeah. And he's like, "Oh my god, look at that! Look at that!" And the whole time I'm like, "Just fucking pull the fucking thing out of his mouth."
Yeah.
But yeah, um, so he pulls it out, and I I don't understand exactly. I guess just the act of him pulling it out put the gears in motion. Is that the
Right.
deal? Okay.
Yeah, that was the only thing holding those gears back from moving and knocking the church over. Yeah, I don't know what that thing was that was coming out of the ground. I mean, maybe I shouldn't dwell upon it too much, but I thought it was really cool looking, and I would probably pee my pants if I saw that in real life.
Yeah.
But I guess it was that the bodies of the the
The
villagers
I guess, but
coming out
they
of the
were
ground
like
again.
covered in like tar,
Yeah,
and um they seemed a lot more sexual coming out of the ground than they did going into the ground.
they didn't bury him with their clothes on it, apparently.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, because like I remember there was one chick with her top off during that whole night scene,
Yeah,
and then they like put her right on the perfect part of the wagon. So when they dump them off the wagon, you see the girl with boobs flop down first. But yeah, that was the only real naked person I saw.
okay,
But on this big tree of muddy people, everyone seemed to be
yeah.
naked and writhing around.
You get the nice butt shot right in your face.
Yeah, there was a lot of butt. The
Yeah.
thing that was weird, there was a lot of things in this movie that reminded me of Naked Lunch for some reason, and I don't know when that was made. Um,
I could see
it was
that.
probably after this,
Yeah.
actually, but I don't know. It might be too because that fucking guy Ethan was reminding me of Julian Sands. God, I fucking hate that guy so much. He's like one of those actors that like if I know he's in something, I'll like go put my hand in the garbage disposal and
Okay.
not watch the movie kind of thing. But
That's a fair reaction. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so what did you think of the end of this? Like church comes down, shit's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Some
what
unknown amount of time passes, but Lotte still looks about the same age. They're the field trips are now kind of far away, but they still talk about how, the bodies that were found, like it was a while ago. Um, yeah, and then she returns, and this is, I don't know, is this spoiler? I mean, it's not really anything groundbreaking or anything. She just goes back to put a picture of her weird mom and dad at the site of the church, like it's a memorial. She sneaks in. She's so good at, sneaking around. She can sneak in where it's all fenced off, even though that piece of fence is clearly bent back. So it didn't take a whole lot of effort, but she gets up to the church, and lo and behold, coincidentally, she's right next to that little head with the seven eyes, and that triggers the ground to open up again, and she is now looking into the abyss, the bright blue abyss, where the demons dwell, and she kind of smiles like a little smirk, a knowing smirk. So what that's supposed to represent or mean, we'll have to wait for the church part two.
that's been in development since 1990. Well, no, that tripped me out a little bit because I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, so she in the past life was one of these villagers.
Yeah, she's the wicker
So,
mask.
well, and the thing is that's weird. Like when you're watching the beginning of the movie, like you feel bad for the villagers and the knights are evil kind of thing. But then you realize that the knights are killing these people because they're diseased with Satan and all this shit or
Yeah,
whatever. And when they start like moving once they're in the pit and they pull the horse down and all that shit, then you're like, oh, so the villagers are the bad guys. It's just we're so used to hating the church
mm-hmm.
that like we're assuming that they're the bad guys. But with all of that said, um, Asia Argento's character, she might have been like the catalyst of this whole thing.
Right.
Like she then I was like, going, was she supposed to be the goat? Like, that's weird. And
They were
yeah,
never in the same place at the same.
yeah. But then I just like I started thinking too much about it, and I think I just went a little too far. Um, but so it made me think that like the whole thing was like her idea. But at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, so these demon things could come up out of the ground of the church. So their idea to stop it is to bring the church down. So there's still a bunch of cracks and crevices
Yeah.
for them to come up again. So that didn't seem like a very solid idea to me either.
No.
But I don't think we're supposed to think that much about it.
Yeah.
So that's
There's some things, yeah, where I want to think more about it. Like, what is her character? I mean, we didn't. I guess, yeah, we glossed over the fact that she's apparently been the same age for hundreds of years, but she's also the daughter of this mortal guy. I don't know. It's kind of confusing, and you have to. So it's like one of those things where if you were to ask the director, I feel like he would say, "Don't think about it. It's just you have too many writers writing the script."
she's Damien. You're just
Yeah.
gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah. So that was like the part that made me think. This movie made me think more than I thought it should have.
yeah,
But
that's a good thing. Yeah, good point to say.
most of these movies don't make you think. So the fact that I was trying to piece all this shit together was kind of big. But I guess as far as like what I thought more than anything else, the whole deal where everybody, like, you never knew who the main character was, and having a main character was almost not important, and all of these conversations of people that you have no idea why they're there or why I'm supposed to even give a shit about them. You know, like there was like no, I guess, compassion for any of the characters in it other than Aja, because she's a kid and you don't want the kid to die, you know. But
Yeah.
other than that, like, we haven't spent enough time with anybody except the two people who were totally fucked from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. That's my beef about the film.
There was just like a sleaziness about them from the start that maybe not so much Lisa, but that Evan guy is always
Yeah,
taking
he's
his
like,
shirt
hey,
off to show his scrawny little.
you're a girl, let's go get coffee.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get coffee. Hey, we're supposed to get coffee.
Yeah.
And
Haven't you
then
heard of
that was
coffee
actually
before?
really funny, like when they were getting ready to, when they were pre-gaming, as you said, and then he got up to look at that thing. She picked up like a Mickey Mouse comic book and like just started like reading it.
Yeah.
Because you know, most people who restore frescoes and stuff read Mickey Mouse comic books.
Yeah. That's her
Okay.
her artistic inspiration.
It goes hand in hand.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Well, is it? No, it's Donald Duck that's in all the Fulci movies, isn't it?
yeah.
So, okay. But yeah, I didn't know if like Father Gus was the guy we're supposed to hitch our wagon to, because he's a nice enough guy. He's kind of naive, so you're kind of like following along with him, like trying to figure things out. You know, he doesn't know Latin. We don't know Latin. It's kind of like
So
he's supposed to
he could have
represent
faked it.
us.
He could have
Yeah.
faked it, and we would never have known. Well,
Yeah.
I think he is the hero at the end of the movie, but it takes you 3/4 of the movie to get through before you realize that he's the hero. You know,
Yeah.
and I don't know, maybe heroes and shit isn't really that important in a movie, but I felt like there needed to be a little more consistency with that. But as far as just like entertaining movie, yeah, it served its purpose and did everything it was supposed to do.
Yeah. It had, the things I like the most about these movies is a good score. Maybe a little repetitive at times, but it's kind of like I do like the brassy the stuff and the stuff we get from like the 70s, but for some reason my heart is with like this uber synthesized stuff.
Yeah.
So I like that, and then I like, for some reason, I like the creative gore and kills, and which can be overplayed at times too. But just out of nowhere getting smashed by a subway train or things like that, jackhammering. Um, it's just kind of fun, those little unexpected touches. So those are the things that are going to probably stand out for people who watch this for the first time. That's what made me want to repick it. Going back for a second time and actually like trying to follow the story did kind of make it lose a little bit of its luster, like you were saying. It's a fun story. There are some parts that drag or that they depend too much on imagery, so you have to try to like make up your own plot. But overall,
I think just for that big chunk in the middle where there was like no dialogue, and then after that, all the dialogue that happened didn't seem to be important dialogue to move the story along. It was like, oh, the camera's on us, we should be talking right now.
Yeah.
So those were like the things that really hit me, but the imagery in this was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Although that kid with the trumpet, I would have fucking, if I was locked in that fucking church and he was playing a trumpet, I would have shoved it clear up his ass, dude. There's no way I would have fucking put up with that shit. Like, who let him have a fucking trumpet in the first place? Like, whose idea was that?
Son of bitch sideways first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Overall, fun little late period horror movie with Suave.
Did you want to talk about the lineage stuff?
Yeah. Well, if Brian's still hanging out with us and other people who I know have demanded that we cover the Demons movies, this is us kind of getting our little toes wet first before we dive into those ones. This was apparently going to be Demons 3. That was Dario Argento's vision. That was his original writer and director Lamberto Bava's vision. Bava had, I believe, written the first two, or at least the first one for sure, and directed. And so they got to work on this one, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Argento's like, I don't like any of this. So he pretty much fired him as a writer and a director, promoted Suave into the director role, gave him a chance to write a little bit as well. And what we came out with ended up being The Church. Somewhere along the way, Suave said, no, I don't want this to be part of the franchise. I want this to be its own beast. I think he thought it was good enough to kind of be its own movie that existed all by itself. So it did not become Demons 3. A few other titles would try to lay claim to that. They would try to retroactively give it to the movie The Ogre, which I was
watching first before Eric told me you're watching the wrong movie.
So you're clear of that one. That is not a good movie.
Oh my god, it's so shit. It's so shit.
You think The Ogre, there's gonna be like, sweet, there's gonna be a cool looking ogre in it or something, but no. It's, if you've seen the movie Cellar Dweller from around this time, it's like some made-for-TV trash that gives you a glimpse of the monster at the very end, and it's no good. That's kind of like The Ogre. Or not Cellar Dweller. Thinking of a different one. I think just The Cellar, maybe.
What was the... yeah, Brian's still with us, by the way. What was that movie? Oh, Troll 2. Nilbog. Okay.
Nilbog. Yeah, and that was kind of an Italian production too. So they had this thing about going back to old features and kind of tacking on the name. So then Black Demon from 1991 was also given Demons 3 moniker.
And that is what I almost watched.
Okay.
So everything worked out okay.
You should have just watched all three, and then we could have done like a massive Demons 3 retrospective review.
Okay, like the funniest part on that ogre movie, like this is as far as I got. They're driving into town and they stop to get something to eat or something, and the dad's like, how about a cappuccino? And the boy's like maybe like 7 or something, and he's like, oh boy, can I have one? And he says, sure, I don't see why not. And I'm like, dude, if you're going on a car trip with your kid, the last thing you want to do is give him a fucking cappuccino. Are you fucking crazy?
Oh
Like,
man,
uh,
caffeine mixed with 5 minute intervals between bathroom stops.
oh my god, no, but yeah. So, I'm glad you stopped me before I got really far into that movie, or else
I'm
this
not.
podcast would have been shit.
Yeah.
I've been going. I don't know why the fuck this movie's called The Church.
There's no church. There may be
It's
a church like in the background.
it's directed by Michael Bublé.
Hmm.
I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, his pre-music career and directing.
Yeah. So now with um after Black Demons, are the movies after the Demons 3 fiasco, are any of those connected or with like the same production team or whatever, or all of them just throwing a demon's name on something?
Yep. The rest of it, it was basically just a game of taking old properties and adding the demons to it. So they had the Devil's Daughter from 1991, which became Demons 4, the sect, when it was re-released. They also went back a couple years to the Mask of the Demon from 1989 and the Black Cat from 1989 to become Demons 5 and Demons 6.
Oh my
And then
god.
I think, if I believe this is the same one, Cemetery Man from 1994. It was actually directed by Suave. Again, so I think maybe that using that connection, they went back and renamed it not Demons 7, but just Demons 95. So this was like the period of the 90s where they would tack on like the year
Oh my gosh.
Demons 95. So I don't know if they were planning on like coming out with a Demons 96, 97, like one year after the other. But
Oh, that's awful.
that
Dude, I
that
didn't know Cemetery Man was a part of that. Like, I mean, in the alternate title world. I
I
never
thought it
ever
was
knew that.
untouched. Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
They couldn't even keep their grimy hands off that one.
Wow. That's amazing.
So not as convoluted as last time we talked about Zombie, but it gets a little strange and weird. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, not a single one of those has any kind of connection to Demons 2, or even the church, or maybe they have something to do with the ogre, but as Brian points out, it's a pretty damn bad movie. So we're not
Oh,
going to touch it with a
it
45.5 foot pole.
it's seriously, the dialogue was so awful that it looks like a movie that I would actually have a lot of fun watching, but it was just like, oh, it was awful. But
Yeah.
let's see, just the other studios trying to cash in on the popularity of the original Demons films. They're not really connected other than the church being loosely based on the actual sequel.
Yeah. So I think the intention was to
Thank you,
to
Brian.
use some kind of the demons lore from the first two movies in the church, which, as we talked about, you kind of get that with like the touching being like the transferring of the demons, or the just like the self-inflicted violence that these demons do to themselves and violence upon others, which you don't get in a lot of other possession movies. So I think those are the ties to the original ones. But then, yeah, as more writers got involved, and as Suavi said he wanted to do his own thing, it kind of just broke off
Which
finally.
is
And so,
crazy because like he had no leg to stand on. Hey, I'm gonna go up to Dario Argento and all these other motherfuckers and just tell them what's what.
yeah.
Like, I can't believe that actually happened. That's crazy.
Well, from what I understand, he was able to kind of get a couple of those people from that cartel to join his
Agree with
side.
him. Yeah.
And so he actually got a couple of actors and writers and producers to follow him on his own quest as he went on after this movie to do movies like Cemetery Man and a couple others. This was after Stage Fright, which was his first, I
Oh,
think,
okay.
his first directed movie.
Yeah. So I guess he had a little bit of clout.
Yeah. I might have
Yeah.
said that this was his first directed movie, but yeah, I believe Stage Fright was first.
Well, right on. Well, I don't know about you, but I want to do all the demon movies now. I'm all excited.
It's kind of tempting. Hey, I'm not going to stop anyone from watching The Ogre. If you want to go check it out,
I don't know. Like, Demons 2 is fucking nuts, man.
Demon Tower. Yeah.
But I can't remember if I spent more time talking shit on that or talking amazingness to it. Um, I don't know. Both Demons 1 and 2 are really, really fun. So like I could do those in a beat. But I think we shouldn't cross out our good friend the ogre. But if Troll 2 works on this level, like I don't know why we're not doing Troll 2. Like or at least what was the movie about Troll 2? What was that called?
Best worst movie?
Best worst movie.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a good documentary because I mean
Yeah.
they talk to some of those actors and you find out they were not acting for the most part. That was the real, like, the mother.
Oh, she's
them.
scary as hell. And that director, I don't remember what his name is, but he's like, I don't want to say anything mean, but delusional is like the only thing that comes to mind. And just, Nilbog.
Like, I know it gets talked about in the same breath, but like The Room, which is also considered a terrible movie with like a delusional director.
Yeah.
I think the director of Troll 2 is actually leaps and bounds more. I mean, I've read the book about The Room that the main actor wrote.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, they're actually making that into a movie, I think. But
oh my
you find
God.
out some things about Tommy Wiseau. You wish you never would have.
You're ripping my heart out.
Yeah, and but yeah, then you watch that movie about Troll 2 and that director, and he's just so, he has no idea like why people are so attached to this movie now.
But the guy from The Room, I know somebody who is so much like him that whenever I see him do anything, like in like YouTube clips or whatever talking, I cringe and my skin crawls, dude. It's just
it's cringeworthy stuff.
But yeah, so I don't know if we decided anything right there.
Oh, we're deciding something.
Do you want to pick something out of those, or
yeah, I mean, Demons, when we get to that's going to be a pretty popular one. I don't know. I don't know if we should kind of hold off on that one, because we kind of touched on it a little bit this time. Trying to think. Well, I picked this one. I don't know. Maybe it's your turn.
Can we do Troll 2? Is that legit?
Italian, as far as I'm aware. Legit for me. I mean,
yeah, then I definitely want to do that because any excuse to watch Troll 2 is a good one. So oh my God, that's so fucking amazing.
Chris might sit out again, but I think
just so everybody knows, Chris isn't sitting out because he's angry. He's like surfing in New Jersey or some crap like that, some Enzo bullshit.
Yeah,
because he can't teach that. So yeah, but that's happening. So yeah, dude, let's do Troll 2 and best worst movie.
Italian production or anything other than the director. So, but,
well, I mean, then let's wait a little bit. Let's run it by everybody.
Okay.
And see what they think. So
we got a month, right?
Yeah, we got a month.
Okay.
So basically, we just have no idea what we're doing right now. Okay, that's cool. That's legit. I'm all right.
I mean, we could do an Argento in the '80s movie.
Let me think about it. Let me see let me see if there's anything I'm uber excited about.
Yeah.
Because there was one last time I was like wanting to do. I can't remember what it was now. Anyway, so yeah, well, that's the church, and that was super fun.
It sure was fun.
All right, man. Well,
I'm
then,
glad you had fun with it. I hope our listeners found it and had fun with it too. And I know one of our listeners, Maddie, is a big Keith Emerson fan, so hopefully he'll appreciate the score.
yee. Demons 3.
Demons 3, check it out. whichever one you end up on first.
Whichever
You have
one
to
you
watch
want.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the Demons 3 drinking game. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay, well, until next time, everybody. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.